It's my 15th year leading high holiday services at Temple Beth. It's my first year having a fight with the microphone. My 24th year doing this as a full-time rabbi. It's never not a special thing to usher in the season, and particularly with all of you. So many of you are so committed, particularly to this service. I'm not sure how it started, but this service evolved into being one of the places where at the end of it, before sharing a quick Dvar Torah, I share Hakarat HaTov, gratitude to the members of our community and staff who really helped make this place what it is. It's not because this is the largest gathering of the high holiday season, but because it seems inappropriate to start another year in this community without a tiny bit of appreciation expressed towards those who deserve it most. It's an incomplete list, and it's an incomplete reference of the things that they are due, but it feels the right way to start the year. First, as I say every year, if at any point during the season, or really the year, but particularly the season, you run into any members of our facility staff or security staff, please thank them. They are not overpaid. They are not underworked. There's nothing that could happen in this community with things being set up the way they're supposed to and us feeling safe on our campus without their being committed to their work as if it was a holy purpose. And believe me, they appreciate every time someone says something to them and they're not expecting it. There's no small task. There's no small technical element. There's no small aspect to the way the chairs are set up. The number of hours it takes to make this look and be the way it is hard to comprehend. Please give them the blessing of your gratitude. I want to recognize and honor one who's amongst us tonight, who is really committed to really the centerpiece of any traditional Jewish community, and that is the Daily Minyan. Michael Harris is with us tonight. Couldn't possibly be more committed to ensuring that this community lives out its values and having a minyan every morning, every afternoon, both so that people can say Kaddish, and because praying 3 times a day is a Jewish obligation. Maybe it's the most central obligation. The year ended on an inauspicious note. For those of you who are on the Daily Minyan WhatsApp group, we had the very, very rare, I'm proud to say that it's very, very rare, I'm sad to say that happened, non-minyan last night, the last weekday mincha of the year. And even though most people are responsive when the WhatsApp group sends out an emergency, we couldn't get a minyan last night. And it is certainly not due to any lack of focus or attention by Michael. If you're not a daily minyan goer, we're not asking for 365 days a year, but a couple of nights a year. Mornings, we almost always have a wonderful, robust minyan. But you can't imagine the impact that a couple of nights a year, rather than staying home and watching one more Netflix show, come to minyan, and particularly in the winter when minyan is early. It allows us to proudly say that we provide this as a service and as service to this traditional way of doing Judaism. Michael, we really thank you and honor you and are in awe of your commitment to this mitzvah in this community. I want to recognize by name and just a few of their achievements, the people that I work most closely with in this community, the members of the senior staff who lift up my work, make it better, and are the ones that earn this community its status as being an exemplary organization committed to its members and committed to its values. I want to thank and express gratitude to Rabbi Shapiro for helping, particularly as COVID emerged, making the Shabbaton really the highlight programmatic weekend of the year, turning the YLE, Youth Learning Engagement world, into the You'll Love Everything world, YLE, and making Shabbat morning a buzz with program after opportunity for the youth in our community, just growing that part of our institution with new ideas every week, every month. Thank you, Rabbi Shapiro. I want to honor and recognize our executive director, Cheryl Goldman, who is everywhere and anywhere and knows more about, who's forgotten more about this institution than any of us will ever know. and is not always or often up in front of the microphone, but we're only able to be up at the microphone doing what we do because Cheryl is so committed to this institution. And particularly this year, you'll hear more about this later on, found a way to turn house cleaning into endowments and looking for every opportunity to secure this institution's future. Cheryl, we thank you for your undying efforts to help make Temple Beth Am as beautiful as it is. I want to recognize Dr. Erica Rothbaum, our head of school, who really makes such a name for herself in the city and in the country for being as committed as she is to Jewish education, and is just unveiled to the Board of Trustees and is going to be unveiling to the community soon a tremendous and really lightning quick overhaul to our campus to make sure that by the time school begins next September, nearly every one of the needs for which we originally hoped to build a massive middle school building right over there, but we're not able to do that project now. We're going to do a series of projects that are going to hit 85 to 90% of those needs. And she's constantly reconsidering options, constantly imagining the best and most efficient and most affordable ways to bring our school forward. And I'm in awe of her devotion and of her strategic thinking. I want to recognize Rabbi Schatz, my colleague, for learning series, bringing in so many different scholars from within our community and beyond every season, every topic, for essentially single-handedly, along with a tremendous lay community, inventing our Chevra Kadisha, making sure that our community could provide that service to those, that holy service of being there to prepare those for burial, for resurrecting the food pantry, which many of you read about, to make sure that people both in our community and beyond who are food vulnerable have an opportunity to satiate themselves with dignity, for creating the, how are we calling it, the Taba Capella, the Temple Beth Am Choir a cappella group, and which has become such a popular thing so quickly, and just being there with a smile and a joke and tremendous commitment to this community. Thank you, Rabbi Schatz. And to Rabbi Cantor Chorney, who weaves so mellifluously back and forth between those roles and titles of being a rabbi and being a cantor and being a thinker and a leader and a producer of so many of the important ideas that end up getting implemented in our community. So many of them start in her incredible mind, and who has built in ways that you may not even be aware of such a strong programmatic partnership between the synagogue of Temple Beth Am and the School of Pressman Academy, which you would think would be an easy thing to craft. It's been done so delicately and so significantly to make sure that our nusach, our music, our approach to davening on the shul side is matched by what's happening with those who are coming through our school program. And 10 years plus into her role here is doing the very thing. She continued to do the very thing that you said, Cantor Chorney, in your interview 10 years ago, which is to really make other voices soar and rise, and make them feel that they are contributing as beautifully as they are. So we thank you for living out that promise and showing the greatness that's possible in humility. I also want to recognize our president, Mark Samuel. It seems like he's finishing his first decade of leadership, not his first year of leadership. When I think about what he's accomplished, incredible personal touch, as if he's an extended member of the clergy team, doing everything he can to raise others' achievements up, somehow adding the weight of what seems to be 2 full-time jobs onto his already full-time job of running his business and being committed to his family and his exercise. And I want him to know, if he hears this eventually or if he's listening now, that I learn from him every day. And there are many more who are deserving, but I want to move from there into a short word of Torah. I have a distinct memory as a child of being on the bus on the way home from day camp one day. I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 years old. And the bus ride or the minivan ride, it probably took half an hour. It felt like 6 hours because it was the end of a day. I was socially awkward. And this particular van ride, I was just being teased mercilessly. When you're being teased amongst peers, the last thing you want to do is to show your weakness, right? To give them the satisfaction of producing a tear. And I remember the tears welling up and doing everything I could to keep them inside. I remember exactly where the drop-off was. It was at the library in Woodbridge, Connecticut. That's where the parents picked them up. And it felt like an eternity till we got to that parking lot. I got out of that parking lot. I got off the minivan with my backpack. I got into the front seat of my mother's car, and I turned to her, and I looked at her, and I wept. And the tears came out from endless reservoirs of vulnerability. To this day, my mother, may she live and be well, is one of the people in whose presence I'm most comfortable and most capable of crying, and also in whose presence my laughter is most free-flowing and raucous. She is someone who opens up for me the full spectrum of emotions from all the extremes. And the extremes of those moments, both of them, feel tremendous. It's tremendous to laugh fully without wondering if you're laughing too loud. And it's such a relief to be able to cry, because we're all crying all the time inside, but very rarely do we let it out. And she's always been that presence for me, in some ways more than almost anyone else in my life. I was just blessed to spend a few days with my parents in Connecticut. There's some health issues that brought me back, and we had some intense days, and there was laughter to the point of tears. And also because we're dealing with some heavy things, tears that needed to come and felt like a relief themselves. And as I think about what it's like to be in the presence of a person, could be a parent, could be a friend, could be a trusted counselor, you might even experience this in the presence of the Holy One, where everything that you offer emotionally is accepted with grace. Think of a verse from the book of Psalms that I only came across recently. In the book of Psalms, there's some verses that we know so well because they're a part of our liturgy. We sing them over and over again. And it's a large book. There's some verses of Psalms that I'm no problem admitting to I might literally have never come across, or if I have, they haven't registered. And this is a verse that if you come to my Learn and Sing on the second day of Rosh Hashanah around 12 or 12:15 in Pilch Hall, we're going to linger on and we're going to sing to a new tune that was composed this year by my dear colleagues, Rabbis Yosef Goldman and Annie Lewis. The verse is, Nodi safarta ata. God, you have counted my wanderings. Everywhere I meander, you know. You know what they are. Sima dimati benodi. God, place my tears in your flask, in your container. Halo b'sifratecha. You somehow have a record you've written down and are able to hold every one of my tears. Whoever wrote that line is ascribed to King David. Whoever actually was the author probably felt, or at least pretended to feel, in the presence of the Holy One, what I feel in the presence of my mother. However many tears I cry, you can hold them, make space for them. And however much I need to laugh, it will never be too much in your presence. It's an amazing thing to have that as a spiritual reality, to feel that your relationship with the Holy One is one in whose presence all of your tears can come out. And it can also be the object of great exultation and ecstasy. We've got both of those extremes throughout the high holiday season. Just for a second, think about the relationship between the shofar blow of Tru'ah, which is triumphant, a victory, a military achievement, a new year, health and happiness, and the shvarim, whose sounds and words, the word shvarim means brokennesses, things that are shattered, torn apart. In one instrument, in one moment of the high holiday service, we're going to be arms raised in victory and glory, and hearts broken because of how hard it is sometimes to be alive. The same shofar is supposed to wake us up and break us down at the same time. We sometimes think, and I certainly think about this ideologically, that it's healthy to find a grounded, illuminated, sophisticated center. I think it's a mistake to assume that we should spend our lives emotionally in the center, unless it's a center that is created as an average of extremes that we're allowed to express freely. I'll share with you a teaching that was shared if you're on the Jewels of Elul listserv that comes out for the holiday season by a man named David Ambrose, who is an activist on issues of poverty and child welfare. He wrote the following: balance supposes there exists an equilibrium that is ideal to maintain a desired state of being. He continues, I'm skeptical that balance is a worthy goal. At each moment of my journey in life, there is always too much or too little of X or Y. That is as it should be if you want to live for the fullest. I nourish myself in the richness of the struggles that I choose to be a part of, and in that I find the payoff that others find in achieving balance. As we launch this year, I bless you with having the capacity to allow this season and this year to be one of extremes, proper extremes, defensible extremes, right? Extremes that stay within the categories of morality and health. But may it be a season and a year where you find yourself constantly in the presence of those people, and maybe even that God who can hold all of your tears, extract your mightiest of laughs, and allow you to live with your emotions fully present, with each moment being as full as it possibly can, with the balance created only in the average of the good and the hard, the joyful and the sad, the laughter and the tears. God can hold all of that. Shana Tova. Tomorrow.